Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com, this is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
John, so folks, what do you think of the media coverage of the truck convoy? I find it really fascinating. Very, very revealing. As a matter of fact, almost as interesting as the convoy itself is the media coverage. The left-wing, liberal supporting media, which, let's face it, in this country is by far the bulk of the media, continues to try and convince us that the protesting truckers are nothing but a fringe band. Isn't that Trudeau's word? A fringe band of redneck, homophobic, knuckle-dragging, dangerous racists. We're all in danger is the message we're getting from the left-wing media. And yet, John, you've been talking to some people who are out watching this, and they say that it's very peaceful. I mean, all of these stories about violence and risk and danger and look out, it's all just left-wing media crapola.
Well, it's early on, too. But yeah, I mean, people have been, I've been putting it out there that, look, we're seeing a Confederate flag, we're seeing Trump signs and stuff. And people have been contacting me saying, that's not what we're seeing. We're here on the bridges and we've got Canadian flags flying and it's hugs and it's honking and we're sharing Timbits. Let's hope that is what we see for the weekend.
Sharing Timbits.
Yeah, well.
What could be more Canadian than that?
That's what
the Canadian flag, hugging each other, and having Timbits sounds very Canadian.
That's what you took for my comment. Hello, okay.
But so you see a guy driving around with a Confederate flag, and of course I see the Facebook pictures are just ever overwhelming. This guy, I have no idea who he is, but the CBC, CTV. The Toronto Star, they all point at this. See, there's a racist. This is racist. I have no idea who this guy is. And I doubt if the Toronto Star or CBC or CTV does either. Is he even a member of this? I mean, he's just some idiot, some damn fool trying to make a little name for himself, trying to be a smartass. But, as Pierre Poilievre said, I thought he handled this very well. He was going into the House of Commons yesterday. He turned around. There was a gaggle of reporters there, and he lectured them a little bit, and he said, when there's a left-wing person, a liberal or NDP, that's been accused of something, you don't see the left-wing media trolling every little bit of social media to try and find some comment to brand the entire group. He said there was for example, he said there was an employee of the CBC that was deemed to be a racist, but nobody ever tried to claim that all employees of the CBC were racist. But he says that's what's happening here. But he said, if you get somebody who is advocating violence, or he didn't mention this, but I guess he meant, flying a Confederate flag or a Trump sign, they should be treated as individuals. Nothing to do with the group. These are individuals who may or may not have anything to do with the protest. One of the things I see last night on CTV, and I'm sure CBC has played this 100,000 times as well, is some guy, some idiot, and he's talking about bullets. Oh, I can see the only answer to this is bullets. And so this is being played over and over and over and over and over and over again as proof positive that these are all a bunch of violence-ridden racists, etc. But who is the guy? I mean, for all I know, this guy is broadcasting from Uganda. I mean, let's face it, he could be broadcasting from Fort Myers for all I know, or anybody else. Is he a member of the convoy? Not likely. It doesn't look to me like he could drive anything, let alone a truck. But anyway, but this is all being played up. And as a consequence, we've got a population in this city that's kind of worried because of all of these reports, and yet, as you say, John, and we see it ourselves, all of the support they're getting, flag waving, cheering, so forth. But no, they have been. Let's face it. I mean, hundreds of trucks have come all the way from BC through every town, every city on the way here. No, no evidence of, I mean, there has not been a single report of a theft, for example, or any kind of violence or drunkenness or anything. We got, several thousand people coming through, to come through all of these cities. Have you seen any reports about any violence or anything of this sort?
No, sir.
But I mean, it wouldn't be surprising if one person of that group is some sort of idiot, but I mean, so where are we getting this information? Well, this guy saying it with bullets are the only answer. Yeah, but for all we know, he's broadcasting from Mars, for God's sake.
And don't forget, too, the media can pick and choose, and they're going to pick and choose the stuff that is much more clickable, too, right?
Actually, Pierre Polyev, I appreciate what he had to say. Listen, if there's an idiot, and he pointed out, and I mean, I've had plenty of experience in my many years of broadcasting and public speaking. And I mean, I've sat on councils, et cetera, and boards of directors. And I'm going to tell you, you get a group of even 10 people together, you're almost for sure bound to have one freaking idiot. John, have you ever been to a school board meeting where parents are in it?
No, but I've got friends and family who are teachers, and I've heard lots of horror stories.
I mean, you know what? I'm going to tell you. You round up, you have a little neighborhood party, and you invite like a dozen neighbors. There's probably going to be one guy there that's a damned idiot. I mean, it's when you have a group of people, particularly if they've got several thousand people, there are going to be some oddballs. There's going to be some characters. There's going to be some idiots. It's just the way things are. I mean, I very foolishly ran for government a couple of times, and on one occasion, this was in Ottawa Centre in I don't know, the 80s, and there was a guy running, and this particular guy, I forget his name now. This was, I think, the 27th election that he had run in.
Wow.
I mean, the guy was like from outer space. But I mean, you can't label everybody that ran in that election as being a space cadet. But anyway, I mean, you know what? And I think most people listening here, watching, they understand this. You get a group of people, you're going to get some real oddballs there, and you're going to get some characters that probably lose their temper a little bit too quickly. But as I say, to this point, to the best of my knowledge, and you can be absolutely sure, if there had been any violence, any incidents, any theft, or even a minor fender bender with these people, it would have been on the front page of the Toronto Star. It would have been the lead item on the CBC National News and the lead item as well on CTV News. So, folks, if there's an idiot, and there are, I mean, anybody that would drive around in this with a Confederate flag is just a freaking idiot, okay? I mean, he's got nuts and bolts for brains, let's be honest.
What the hell does that flag have to do with anything in Canada?
Well, yeah, precisely.
He's absolutely dickish. And he's got Ontario plates too, which just makes it even more cringe.
Yeah, so, but I mean, just dismiss it as one more idiot. You know what? It's kind of, in many ways, I think it's kind of good to have these guys out there with their Confederate flags and their Trump signs.
I know you do.
Because now we know exactly who the hell they are. And the next time they show up in your neighborhood, you say, "Oh yeah, I remember you." So anyway, but and it's really interesting too, the breakdown of the media, because as I say, the left-wing media, Toronto Star, CTV, CBC, all hotly opposed to this. I don't know if you noticed this morning, but the Ottawa Citizen is opposed to this, et cetera, et cetera. And the thank God for the Sun chain, which, by the way, in this city I started. I want you to know that I launched the Sunday Herald, which we sold to the Ottawa Sun. So at least with the Ottawa Sun, you're getting a little bit of what I would say conservative common sense coverage. The Sun, well, I don't know if it's come out actually and fully supported, but what they do support, which I agree with, and I hope you do, is that at the very least, these people have the right to be heard. That's really all they're saying here is we have some legitimate concerns, and they do have some legitimate concerns. All right. And you know what, as Polyev said, and as O'Toole has said, in fact, even at one point, Trudeau said, we owe a lot to these truckers. They have kept our store shelves, solidly booked for 2 years now doing this. And in many cases, they have risked quite a bit in order to do this. Before vaccines were available, these truckers were going back and forth into heavily polluted or what you would call territory with a lot more COVID than we had here. And so they were taking a risk in many cases because they had to. It's what puts food on their table. But now suddenly these guys who saved us were rescued. Suddenly now, according to the left-wing media and Trudeau, they're just a bunch of fringe, pseudo terrorists. As I say, thank goodness for the Sun newspaper chain. Seems to be the only segment of the media that's using a little bit of common sense here. And O'Toole said this as well. And thank goodness, finally, he's speaking up. Finally, I suspect that he got quite a lecture. As you know, there was a meeting of a number of conservatives, and they reviewed some of his performance. And I'm sure that the word that he got was, listen, you got to have more of a spine. You got to be able to speak up here. One of the problems being a leader of a political party, you got to be prepared to have people who are mad at you. You got to be prepared. If you're going to take a side, doesn't matter what side you take, you're going to have people who take sides against you. God only knows, those of us who have been, for example, conservative broadcasters, you don't think we've had objections from the left wing? Come on. So
it's one of the first lessons you gave me when I started
Absolutely.
saying to you, I can't believe this little music DJ guy is on a talk show with someone, with your experience. And you said, just get ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're trying, I'm going to tell you, I learned long ago, and really good politicians learned long ago, that if you're going to please everybody, you're going to please nobody.
Yep.
The only way that you cannot offend somebody is do absolutely nothing. That's a lesson that some good politicians have learned. And by the way, and John, just go through once again. Are we getting any response here on any of this? So far?
Of course we are. Okay. And I'll get to some of those. We invite your phone calls, your texts as well. 613-413-2217 is your direct line to the Lowell Green Show. 613-413-2217. A reminder, if you can't catch the live show, no problem. Look for the Lowell Green podcast. We don't mention that enough. And if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube or on Twitch, etc., please share this on your timeline. It's the best way to get this word out. It's the best way to share this conversation. And the conversations, whether you agree or not with everything or anything that's being said, they're important in today's landscape. And it really helps promote the show. So Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, we're all there. Just go to blasttheradio.com/LowellGreen and all your links will be there.
For some reason, John, I'm not getting the time on my computer here, so you're going to have to tell me when it's time to do a commercial. Okay.
It's 2:13. Actually, now would be a good time. We're about halfway there. So,
all right. Just before we do, I one other comment I have, and I invite your comment on this as well. I find it fascinating, not only the way the media is treating this, and there's almost an even divide. The left-wing media, which is the bulk of the media here, they're hotly opposed to this. They're trying to sell the idea that this is just a fringe group, they're potentially dangerous and so forth. One of the questions I have of the media that believes this is, okay, you think this is just a fringe group, a bunch of terrorists. Why are they getting so much support right across the country? Even the Hutterites showed up to support them, for God's sake. And there's a picture of a nun.
I saw that.
Supported, God bless you. So not only that, but they have donated so far is about $6.5-7 million. Now, Ottawa Citizen, in their holier than thou position, would you think that $6.5-7 million is all coming from the fringe group? I had no idea that the fringe group had access to that kind of money. $6.5 million in 4 or 5 days? That's a fair chunk of change. So very clearly, there's a fair amount of support for this. So how can this be? Are we all, everybody that supports, are they all fringe terrorists, homophobic? Maybe we should ask Catherine McKenney, who felt that these were all homophobic, racist truckers, etc., etc. Maybe we should ask her. So are all of the people who support them homophobic and racist as well? Now, the other thing, okay, because I have one other comment, but I do want to get a word in here for our good friends at Shields. People these days, thank you. All right, up comes the website. And I keep talking about this because this is, I mean, I deal with hundreds of different websites during research and so forth. And I'm going to tell you that the Shield, I don't know who did this for them, but this is a really, really professionally run, professionally done website, which means it's really easy to use. I wish the Canadian government or even the provincial government of Ontario would take a lesson from Shields and how to run a proper easy to use website.
Or
And
Ottawa Police while we're at it. Ottawa Police website is terrible.
I mean, I don't understand. Here is Shields, this little company up in Pakenham. They've got this wonderfully professionally done website. I mean, all you got to do, you're in the market for an appliance. Okay, you just go pump on the appliances there. They'll give you which appliance you want. Dishwasher, whatever it is. Dryer, air fryer, whatever it is. It's all there. And then they will list them all, and it's so easy. Different colors, different capacities. In some cases, even the wattage that they use. It's all there available. And you know what? They compare prices too. And I'm going to tell you, when you're dealing with Shields, you're dealing with people who in many ways are beating the big box stores when it comes to prices. Don't believe me? Check it out yourself. Shields.ca. Now, just before we go, John, I know you're itching there to get some of these on, and we will.
I'm
also fascinated by the coverage, the media coverage of the turtling job by Justin Trudeau. All right. Now, the left-wing media is treating the fact that this as very seriously. I doubt if there's a dozen people in Canada who don't know what's really going on here, that he doesn't want to meet the truckers, and he's come up with a very good excuse. Oh, I've been exposed to COVID, and so I'm going to isolate for 5 days. I'm going to lock myself under my bed, pull the covers over my head, and yell for mommy. Okay, but I would 99% of Canadians with a brain, which would be maybe 89% of Canadians. But anyway, whoever has a brain knows this is all bullshit. Okay, I mean, he just doesn't want. He's stirred this up. This is his problem. He created the problem. He refuses to back down. He refuses to meet with them. He even refuses to listen to anything that they've got to say. He insults them. He denigrates them, calls them a fringe group, et cetera, et cetera. And so when they come to town, does he want to meet them? He doesn't want to meet them. They might be nasty. So he hides under his bed. Everybody knows it. But CTV, CBC, Toronto Star, even the Ottawa Citizen, no, he's doing the, he's a very noble person. He's doing the right thing. Bullshit. You wonder why fewer and fewer people are reading and believing newspapers. Well, maybe there's one example right there. You insult us when you try to pretend that we don't know what's really going on. John, over to you.
I hate that I'm cynical when I see that the prime minister is isolating due to COVID. And then, it happens again today because it's been one-upped. And again, I hate that. I mean, for all I know, he has been exposed to COVID. But the cynic in me can't help that, because today they played the card, it's one of his kids has COVID. And that,
he doesn't live with his kids.
Well,
he doesn't live with his kids.
That's the rumor.
Well, as far as I know, they're not. Isn't he in his little cozy little taxpayer-funded cottage? Anyway, maybe this is unfair to but we know. I mean, it's just too convenient. It's too bloody convenient that this is his problem, which he has created. Nobody else created. This was Trudeau's idea. This latest vaccine, whatever it is, mandate. This is his idea. All right, and so they come here because they have some grievances, and he won't even talk to them. But as you pointed out yesterday, okay, he's locked up in his little cozy cottage.
Big deal.
But he can meet them with Zoom. Or isn't there other? It's not only Zoom. Aren't there several different ways?
You can pick up his cell phone and FaceTime. There's StreamYard. There's Riverside. There's This technology's been around since the 90s. This is not new stuff. And by the way, after we had that conversation yesterday, I had a good laugh because there he is on my timeline, and they posted a photograph of him in his office at Rideau Cottage on a Zoom call with a bunch of other ministers. So we know it can be done.
Now, my question to you, John. Yesterday, John, I sort of forced you into volunteering your services if he couldn't find anybody to do it. Did you get any takers on this? Like, did anybody from the Rideau Cottage give you a call?
No, I've not heard from Rideau Cottage.
Gerald Butts not been in touch with you?
Gerald, no, sorry, 613-413-2217. Gerald, give me a call.
So you'll do it for free. You'll
yeah.
set them up.
Sure.
Pas de problème.
I've got a truck and I got a CB in it. I'll fit right into everything that's going on in downtown Ottawa this weekend. No problem.
Okay, can you just don't fly a Confederate flag, right?
I would never in a million years even touch one of those.
All right, let's hear what people have to say.
So disgusting to see that in my city. But anyway, Doug says, don't know if I'll be around at 2, but I have some thoughts. The Liberals have done everything to try to stop this convoy. They cut off money by threatening GoFundMe. They got the Truckers' Own Association to turn against them by threatening to cut off funding. They are telling the Canadian public that it's full of radicals. Now they're calling them terrorists. They have tried to downplay the numbers. Gerald Butts, now this is special, has questioned where the money came from to support this convoy. Not from the We charity, that's for sure. And sometimes people use their own money, not other people's. And on they roll, says Doug Phillips. First comment in before you're even on the air today. Yeah.
God bless you, Doug Phillips. Okay.
People posting comments on social media. I'll get them back up on the screen as soon as I'm done reading the ones that I currently have here. Keenan says, the guy with the flag is not an outlier, folks. Even on usually boring platforms like LinkedIn, there are open threats that sound exactly like pre-January 6th in D.C. Yes, I've seen some of those comments.
So what does that mean? I mean, who's making them? Are they, as I say, these threats, they could be coming from somebody in Timbuktu. Come on.
Yeah, I got reports of a couple of guys walking around Rideau Center, and we're here to slaughter, and we're gonna kill anti-vaxxers.
But they're not, and if they're walking around the Rideau Center, they're not part of the convoy. They're just idiots.
Noted.
I mean, they're seriously. I mean,
they're on their way to the protest. They're part of it.
Well, no, anybody can go. It's wide open. If you're an idiot, you obviously can show up. But I point out that this is now the third day, right across Canada, in literally over 100 towns, cities, villages, and hamlets. Not one little instant of violence, theft, or anything else. That's what I'm looking at. Go ahead, John.
Brian Lilly retweeted a photographer, I guess, a photojournalist, claiming that he got spit on and shoved by a couple of people yesterday. But that's the only thing I've seen. So yeah, it's a moot point, really. Kat says, can't Trudeau even say, I see you, but I have nothing to say to you? Steve says, Trudeau's worst comment was when he said the views are unacceptable to Canadians. Code word, Canadians is the federal Liberal Party. Let me see. Not just a bit of a nut job.
Can I just interrupt here for a moment?
Of course you can, always.
What famous politician, when challenged about real terrorists being allowed back into the country, what leading Canadian politician said, a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian, in reference to real terrorists? Who would that have been? Go ahead, John.
Would that be Poppy? Barbara says, see NDP leader Singh's brother-in-law sent in $13,000, second or third largest contributor until found out, and now he wants it back. Murray says the whole country is mad for their loss of freedom, as is the rest of the world. You want in on that? Nope. Mark says the next prime minister will have a hell of a cleanup to do. He won't be popular. Anthony says, apparently, according to Justin Trudeau, anyone who doesn't align their views 100% with him is unacceptable. Chrissy says, what about the truck on the news last night? It was shown that said, F Trudeau, looking forward to seeing some good protest signs. See, that's a good example right there of the media all over that. Look how egregious this is going to be. Look how awful this is going to be. There's a truck with F Trudeau on it.
Yeah, but just a minute. This is the guy that described that trucker as a fringe terrorist, okay, as a fringe with unacceptable views. So he responds and says, F you, Trudeau. Big deal. I mean, tit for tat, right?
Hard to disagree. Craig says it's 2 p.m. on the first day. Wait till the sun has set and the freaks dressed in black show up. Here's an email from Lisa, Lowell at blasttheradio.com. She says, Lowell, what I see are a plethora of issues and concerns happening all at once. Everyone wants to be heard and everyone wants resolutions to them. The problem in all of this is that all levels of governments are either not listening, are avoiding their people, and are, importantly, not offering solutions. And if they are doing something...
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
That's not correct, Lisa. If you read yesterday's Ottawa Sun, you read the comments from Aaron O'Toole, and I pointed this out, that he did present 3 solutions that he said could be done right now that would resolve the situation, hopefully, and also at the same time understand and placate those people who feel that everybody should be vaccinated. So when you say that nobody's offering any solutions, that's not true. That's not accurate. Aaron O'Toole has done that. You may disagree with his ideas, but he came up with 3 very positive ideas that he says could resolve this right now. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, John.
No problem. Here's a text at 613-413-2217. Hi, Lowell. Hi, John. Great work, gentlemen. Couple of remarks. I agree with Lowell in regards to Trudeau being a coward. This is only fueling this protest. One of the organizers of this convoy is Tamara Lynch. She is a Métis woman, but the media won't identify that. Why not? And their final thought is, why are the media being so negative towards the truckers when 2 years ago the various natives groups blocked major railroads and weren't scrutinized to the extent that truckers are getting now? This type of reporting is what leads to division. Keep up the great show, gents. That's
very good. Can I comment on that?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. I had forgotten that. I forget the date, but my brother-in-law was on a train coming from Toronto. He had been at a meeting in Toronto, coming back to Ottawa. It was a cold, blustery night, so it must have been November, December. And right near Belleville, the train was stopped by a protesting group of natives. More than 200 people had to get off the train in the middle of the night, in the middle of a blizzard, and find accommodation in Belleville. It was very serious. It was a serious situation. Over 200 residents of Ottawa, in essence, being held hostage by a native group near Belleville. You know what? And I canceled my Ottawa Citizen subscription because of this. There was not one single mention of this ever in the Ottawa Citizen. 200 or so residents of Ottawa held hostage near Belleville in the middle of the night during a blizzard, and the Ottawa Citizen doesn't report it. Why? Because a native group was involved. Roxanne is on the phone. Go ahead, Roxanne, please.
Hi, how are you?
Go ahead, please.
I'm on the truckers' side.
Okay.
So I can't wait. I don't think that anything's going to really happen tomorrow. I mean, the truckers are going to come down. They're going to talk. They're going to try and talk. But, of course, our esteemed Prime Minister is not going to be around, which is unfortunate because he should give them a bit of his time. It would be respectful because we need our truckers. So
well,
I'm very proud of them.
Yeah, you make a very good point. It would show some respect, not just for the truckers, but for the thousands of people who support them. Because this is really, the fact that he refuses to even say hello to them is an insult, not just to the truckers, but to those. In fact, there's probably tens of thousands of people who one way or another have supported this group. Very good point, Roxanne. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Have a good weekend.
Thank you for the call. Thank you. John, we got some more comments here.
Yep, we do. Ann says, you're missing an important thing. He is the leader of this country, and whether or not someone is going to be friendly towards you, if they have a grievance, you have to address them. Spoken like a liberal, your point of view, a typical Trudeau defender. I don't know who she's saying that to, but there you go. Lowell Green defending Trudeau? I've never heard that in my life. Claude says...
Hold on, read that again. That doesn't make any sense.
You are missing an important thing. He is the leader of this country, and whether or not someone is going to be friendly towards you, if they have a grievance, you have to address them. Spoken like a liberal, your point of view, a typical Trudeau defender.
You see, talking about idiots, we even got him on this program. Go ahead, John.
I thought I was the idiot on the show. Oh, well. Jules says, I won't lie. I'm worried. I'm scared of what's going to happen. Happy they are standing up finally, but deep down, my anxiety is way up. Glenn says, I was really taken back by the police messaging this morning. Seemed like a wartime announcement. Let me see. Let's go to Sean. Only bigots brand a group of people because of one or of a few. Peter says, hey, John, hey, Lowell. It's all Canadians being Canadians. Trudeau and his kind will say nothing good about them. Fake news owned by Trudeau and taxpayers' money. Lots of puck Trudeau flags. Puck Trudeau. I see what you did there. Lori says, this is the Canadians finally waking up, Lowell. We are done, burnt out, tired of this government. And Kathy says, and don't forget, we are also now being called white crazies. Some of the comments
White
coming in
crazies?
on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, etc.
Okay, I wonder who came up with that one. White
I don't know.
crazies. Okay.
Do
They
we
don't
get
have
t-shirts?
crazies. They don't have crazies of other color? Apparently not. Go ahead.
I want a t-shirt. White crazy. Let me see. The liberal media such as CBC are going to attempt to spin the people who are peacefully protesting as radical right-wingers. And the fact is, media are trying to turn this into a January 6th event. Let's pray this protest remains peaceful and democratic, pardon me. Cheryl says, of course it's peaceful. The ones to watch out for are Antifa. They will try to provoke people. Let me see. I think she was answering a previous comment. Okay, so she was not addressing you. She's addressing a previous comment, apparently, on Facebook. Barbara says she was not responding to you, Lowell, but another person. So there you go. We apologize to you, the good listener, who I believe was Ann. White crazy t-shirts coming soon, they say. So they're playing on that. Okay, here we go. Trudeau not talking or mentioning the convoy is like when he ignored Rebel News during the election debate and wouldn't answer the questions when asked and tried to block them from asking questions in the debate even. Jim says, it's a good thing Trudeau doesn't show. I think it will lead to trouble. There you go. That's interesting. And Keenan says, serious question. What would Trudeau possibly say? I mean, he can't end the pandemic and we need vaccination. And obviously we can't just say, never mind, because a fraction of truckers are trying to intimidate their way out of a very easy contribution to public health.
Well, at the very least, he could meet with them and listen to their concerns. This is a large group of people who are hardworking, blue-collar workers. They have done a great service for us up until now. Maybe Trudeau can't resolve it. But at the very least, he should meet with them one way or the other and listen to their concerns. If for no other reason, then these are Canadians. These are fellow Canadians, tax-paying citizens, working people, etc. And as Aaron O'Toole says, they have a right to be heard. At the very least, he may dismiss them, but to call them names and refuse to even address them or meet with them is an insult, I repeat, not just to the truckers, but to the thousands of people who support them. Go ahead, John.
It's 2:33, by the way, if you wanted to end things there.
Our time is up. All right.
I forgot you didn't have your clock there. I apologize. I let you.
No, you know what? I must tell you, I'm very anxious to leave. My wife has done a wonderful service for me. There's nothing I enjoy more than oysters. And she went to Farm Boy today and she bought me 12 oysters. So I am immediately putting down the microphone. I'm going out to the kitchen and I'm going to start shucking.
You can have them all. I won't be popping by for that. I'll see you for tea some other time.
Have a good shucking weekend. We'll be back Monday.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.